Shepard?
Let's see if we can chat more with Rex here.
So, you'd rather be a merc than help your people?
I'm a fighter. It's what I do.
Okay.
Aren't you at all worried about what will happen to the Krogan?
What the hell do you want me to do about it, Shepard? I'm tired of sticking my ass on the line and getting nothing for it.
That's your reason why you refuse to take action? I mean, not to say there's an easy solution, of course. Finding a way to save his entire species after the genophage.
So you're just giving up on your people?
I gave up on fighting for a lost cause. I'm not like you, Shepard. I'm no hero. Bottom line, killing for credits simplifies things.
Sometimes, but not all the time. Smart. Nah, it's definitely a simplification of that whole aspect, and there are definitely some wrinkles that can start to come into the equation that can make that a little more complicated.
You ever think about helping your people?
I try not to. But there's a lot of Krogan mercs out there. I'm always running into them. Half the time I'm being paid to kill them. But that's just part of the job. You don't get to pick who your enemies are.
Okay. And I don't recall as to whether we were previously able to ask Rex about all of these things. I mean, we have gotten the chance to talk to him about some of these things previously, but this might give us the chance to go in a little bit more depth. Let's at least see.
Are your people really dying?
We're sure not getting any stronger. We're too spread out. None of us are interested in staying in our own system.
I don't recall as to whether we've heard this one yet or not.
Lots of species have left their homes and prospered.
But they go to colonize new worlds. We're not settlers. We're warriors. We want to fight. So we leave. Hire ourselves out. And most of us never go back.
Yeah, that is hard to sustain a population for a species that is, struggling to reproduce in that way. What about your family, though? I haven't heard too much about them, except for one exception.
You must have family other than your father.
Your father.
Don't you miss them?
You trying to make me cry, Shepard?
I don't think we've heard this yet.
I've got some unfinished business with my family. But that's all.
Oh? Really?
What kind of business?
Before I left, I made an oath to my father's father. I swore to recover my family's battle armor. It was taken from him after the uprising.
What kind of armor are we talking about here? This some kind of family heirloom?
What's so important about this armor?
It's a relic. Useless, really. But it was worn by 5 generations of my family before the war. It's rightfully mine. Originally, it was taken by the Turian military. We weren't allowed armor or weapons after the war. Now, it's in the hands of Ton Actus, a Turian scum who collects relics from the war. He's made millions selling Krogan artifacts that were stolen from my people. He's got several bases where he stores his goods, all fortified and guarded. I just don't know which base has my family's armor.
Okay. Well, I mean, that certainly seems like something we could try to track down.
Just tell me where to start looking.
I'll upload the data to your nav system. But Commander, I want to be there when you find him.
All right. Nice. Sounds good. Let's just see if we can learn anything else on these two topics here, the genophage and the mercenary aspect. Like I said, we have talked to Rex a bit about the genophage previously, although we may or may not be able to get a little bit more on it here.
What can you tell me about the genophage?
Ask the Solarians if you want details. They made it. All I know, it makes breeding nearly impossible.
Yeah, I think we have heard this one.
Thousands die in stillbirth, and most never get that far. Every Krogan is infected, every one. And no one's rushing to find a cure.
Yeah, but let's just, double check. Why would people not try to get a cure?
Why don't
It does
the
seem
Krogan
odd.
try to find a cure?
When was the last time you saw a Krogan?
Yeah, I remember him saying this.
Ask a Krogan. Would he rather find a cure for the genophage or fight for credits? He'll choose fighting every time. It's just who we are, Shepard. I can't change that. Nobody can.
Alright, but the whole mercenary thing, that seems perhaps as though that could be new.
How long have you been a merc?
Long enough. I took my first contract right after I left my home system. It's good work if it doesn't kill you.
So you enjoy it?
I get the feeling you enjoy your work.
Sure. You get to see the galaxy on someone else's credits, and most days end with a good fight. I've tried more organized fighting, private armies and such, but it gets too messy.
The organized stuff gets too messy?
I fight best on my own, or in very small groups. I don't like people relying on me, and I bloody well don't like relying on them.
Alright. Well, I think that does perhaps say a lot about Rex. That does seem to be the last thing we can talk to him about here.
So long, Rex.
Shepard.
And got some experience from some codex entries there, as well as a new journal entry. And I was just talking about quote-unquote loyalty missions for party members, and well, there is another one right here, and this one is very important. Rex family armor. After talking to Rex, you learned that he's looking for his family's ceremonial armor. It was taken by the Turians after the Krogan rebellion, and now a profiteer named Ton Actus has it. So we need to fight it. He's hiding at a base somewhere in the Argus Row cluster. So, like I said before with Garrus's mission for Dr. Saleon, when it comes to these loyalty missions, especially the ones that outright have their names on them, and even the ones we were talking about earlier with, say, Tally, very important that you do these missions. They are not just your typical random side quests. No, they have particular plot significance, so if you're playing through the game yourself and you're not necessarily trying to quote-unquote 100% the game, I would strongly encourage you to, at the very least, make a point of doing the missions that support your party members, because I think you will find that that will be worthwhile. So, that could be something that rises at or near the top of our list, at least from a quest standpoint. So that's important stuff. We do still have other people to debrief with first, though, before we head on out, because, of course, after having done that big mission there on Novaria, I think we may still have new things to talk to people about.
Commander?
And Ashley, like I was saying, we kinda sorta were, I would say walking the romance line. I think we were going pretty clearly down that path before, so that might be, speaking a little too, or not, giving enough credit to how far we perhaps did go along that path, even if it's not so much that I really want to romance Ashley as much as I just really don't want to romance Liara for the third time in a row. So, let's see. How are we doing?
What's your opinion on the last mission?
You mean the Rachni, right? They were dangerous, Skipper. They proved that 2,000 years ago. I think it was a mistake to let them go. But that wasn't my call to make. It was yours. If you haven't talked to Dr. Tassoni, you probably should. She just lost her mom. That has to hurt.
Yeah.
Just saying, Skipper.
Yeah, we definitely do want to do that, but I wanted to make a point of talking to you first. Is there anything else we can chat with you about?
Do you have a few minutes to talk one-on-one?
Sure, if you have time. Figured you'd be busy with tactical briefings and whatnot. Don't know what I think about us attacking today, of all days. Kind of an ill omen.
Armistice Day?
You mean on the anniversary of the First Contact War?
Ah, I
At the
see.
end of it, yeah. My family always marks it. I'm the only Williams here. I guess you'd be the only other one interested in it.
Okay. So I think, the first dialogue option that we took, where we were just getting her opinion on the most recent mission, that's probably relatively safe to do even if you're not trying to romance Ashley. Whereas once you start going into this dialogue branch where it starts to get a little more personal, this is probably where things start to get a little more serious, if you know what I mean. But, sure, I suppose. Like I said, but the reason why we're talking to you before we're talking to Liara is because if we are to romance someone, we just rather it be you. So, yeah, we're interested.
Seems like an odd thing to celebrate. That was 26 years ago.
In our family, it's not really a celebration, more like an obligation. Don't tell me you don't know about my family. My commanders always find out. It's not in my files or something?
I guess your files are pretty clean, so spit it out, Ashley. No, what's the deal?
There's almost nothing in your files. Technical scores and a list of crap assignments.
There's a reason for the crap assignments.
Eh?
I'm General Williams' granddaughter, the commander of the Shanxi garrison in the war. The only human ever to surrender to an alien race.
Oh! Yeah, that's quite a family reputation.
I see. That's why you drive yourself so hard.
A Williams has to be better than the best, if only to avoid suspicion. That's what my dad told me the night before he retired. It takes a special kind of thick-headed to march into a job where your family's blacklisted. I did it anyway. I'm not gonna let our name go down with Arnold and Quisling. Granddad deserved better than that.
Okay, so let's see if we can get a little more information about this. So your grandfather, you say, was the first/only human to surrender to aliens?
What happened to your grandfather after the war?
He was relieved of command as soon as Shanxi was liberated. They brought him back
At
to
least for a general?
irons, but there was never a trial. They quietly demoted him and stuck him behind a desk. He retired a year later and spent the rest of his life working construction in the colonies. Sometimes we hear about attempts to get him exonerated in some official way. Nothing ever comes of them.
Okay. As for this Shang-Chi division, which I think you were saying is basically the group that he was commanding?
As I recall, your grandfather held out for a long time.
The Turians wrecked the orbitals in the first wave and occupied the major cities. They sat in orbit, dropping rocks on anything that moved. Granddad dispersed the troops, but when they went into the cities for supplies, the Turians would wreck a block to eliminate one fire team. Civilians were dying, his troops were starving, and he couldn't contact Alliance High Command. So he surrendered the garrison.
Okay, I mean, sounds like, he didn't just surrender for no good reason. He had some reason for doing so. So it's not like, we can just make him a complete scapegoat. Can't put all the blame on him. But, yeah, so for that reason, perhaps he deserved better.
He refused to sacrifice his men just to save face for humanity. You planning to throw yourself on a sword to save face for him?
Would it make a difference? He's gone now. Dad's gone too. And who would it impress? I'll never be good enough for the Alliance. So now you know. Gonna kick me off the ship, Skipper?
Nah, we need you. Not holding that against you.
You're a valuable part of my crew, Williams. If I want an opinion from the head, I go to Alenka. When I want one from the heart, I go to you.
Huh. That's an interesting way of putting it.
I also play a mean game of pool. But anyway, I've
Not
got
sure
things to do
how
before
that's
we land. I'm
relevant,
sure you do
but
too.
okay. Alright. I believe that
Dismissed,
was
Julie.
that.
Sir.
It's everything from Ashley and some more codex entries and experience there. Let's catch up with Garrus next. Let's take it one by one here.
What can I do for you?
Huh? What's the deal with that hesitation there, Garrus?
Something bothering you?
It's Saren. I'm starting to wonder whether we'll ever find him. He's always one step ahead of us, and he's got those damn Geth.
So this is another good example of how, like we were saying with Tally, as you start to get further along in the game, and especially if you're doing a bunch of side quests before you get into the main quest, your party members will start to mention about how, it seems like you're getting further along, or at least in this case, feels as if Saren keeps on staying one step ahead of us, even though, to be honest, we haven't been pursuing haven't been pursuing Saren all that aggressively as of yet, as much as we've just been trying to do any and everything we encounter quest-wise. So, are you saying you think he's gonna get away? Because, to be honest, at this pace, we've given him a lot of time to do all of his stuff as we've been focusing on what? Exploring random remote locations that have nothing to do with Saren at all?
We're getting close, Garrus. We'll find him.
I wish I had your confidence. I just can't stand the thought of him getting away with everything he's done. I know you're doing everything you can, and if anyone can catch him, it's you, but if there's anything else I can do to help, anything, just tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it.
Are you? It does seem like you're getting a little bit worried about our situation here.
I understand your concern, but we'll find him. Just make sure you're ready to go when we do.
Yes, sir. I'll be ready. Can I ask you something, Commander?
Sure?
What is it?
Are you worried that the Council might be protecting Saren? I mean, they were really dragging their heels before. What if we find him, bring him back to the Citadel, and they refuse to act?
Are you saying the Council might be in on this whole plan to use the Geth to wage war and potentially take over the galaxy?
I get the feeling this isn't a question. Speak your mind, Garrus.
Well, maybe we shouldn't give them the chance, Commander. In my opinion, Saren's too dangerous to be kept alive. Too much could happen. He could escape, or the Council might let him go. If we find him, when we find him, I say we make sure we stop him permanently.
You raise an interesting point that perhaps best not to take any chances when we do ultimately find him, because who knows if the Council will actually decide to take action against him, or if they'll actually just let him go and he'll be back to his dastardly deeds. But I still think that is probably just a last resort, and we'll see what our options are at the time.
If Saren won't listen to reason, if he forces my hand, I'll kill him in a heartbeat. But only if it's absolutely necessary.
But what's the point in keeping him alive? It just gives him an opportunity to escape or convince the Council to listen to him. And what about the Geth? They might try to free him.
I mean, maybe. But at the end of the day, I mean, we don't need to make up our minds necessarily right now. As Shepard said, you know, if we need to go for the killing blow and take him out, then of course we'll do so. But there may be other alternative solutions as well. It's just hard to know at this stage.
We know
Still
more
early
about Saren's
days.
plans than anyone. But what do we really know? If we just kill him, we lose the chance to find out.
That's true.
Yeah, I see your point. Do you really think there's more to know, other than the fact that he's a raving lunatic?
Maybe, maybe not. But it's not a chance I'm willing to take.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because the risk you run is that if you kill the leader of this type of, you know, group, this, whatever you want to call them, rebellion's maybe not the best, it's definitely not the best word, but, you know, this rogue group of, in this case, a rogue Spectre and the army that he's trying to create, Geth, and as we saw, potentially Rachni, and who knows what else. You take out the leader, then it's like the Hydra, you know, you cut off one head, and then one, maybe two, maybe three more pop up in its place. So, you know, just getting rid of Saren may not be enough by itself. We might need to take a more systemic approach and figure out what the real reason is behind what he's doing, and then if we can prevent that from happening, then that might be a real solution. Of course, we also took out Panezia, so his second-in-command is also taken care of, it would seem, but again, who knows who might rise up in her stead. Let's talk to the Alliance Requisition Officer, though, because
Looking for supplies?
we have picked up some
Let's see what
licenses
you've got.
recently,
You bet, Commander.
which means, yes, we should now have Rosenkopf Materials as one of the manufacturers that is now available to us here, and this is one of the good ones. It is basically one tier below the Spectre gear, which is the best, and so, you know, we're not going to outdo that, but level 8 shotgun from the second best manufacturer, that's no joke. And here is the Spectre gear, speaking of which. That's only level 7. So, technically speaking, this would actually be interesting to compare. In fact, if we could. We're talking 318, 8.9, and 80 versus... Ooh. That's interesting. The damage is slightly better on the Spectre gear, but the heat sink capacity is significantly better on this one. Accuracy 80 versus 91. Okay, so the accuracy is also better on the Spectre shotgun, but it's basically the difference between an additional level, in this case, versus one tier higher manufacturer, in this case. And which one is better? Seems as though, for the most part, it is still the better manufacturer, although it is relatively close, and if we were to, say, get up to level 9, then suddenly this shotgun and other items from just the second tier of manufacturers might start to overtake these level 7 Spectre gear pieces. And, I mean, they are expensive. It's what, 230,000, and we are, well, we're pretty loaded at the moment. So we could certainly purchase more of these, but given how we are starting to get gear that is level 7 or in some cases even 8, now may not be the time to buy these things, as much as it's just a good time to keep an eye on, well, what other things might start to surpass them. So good to keep an eye on that, but I think we're all set for now, at least. Let's head back upstairs and talk to Liara, because, as Ashley was saying, I mean, we did just kill her mother, so, like, she could probably use someone to talk to right about now. Okay. Let's see, she's actually right through here. And so my rationale for talking to Ashley first was in part just if we were going to lock in someone as a romance after chatting with them here, I would rather prioritize Ashley over Liara, and so, you know, hopefully we, if anything, got far enough with Ashley to lock her in so that we are not going to accidentally end up romancing Liara instead.
If you are here to talk about Benezia's death, you need not bother. She brought it upon herself.
I mean, maybe, but that's still your mom you're talking about.
Don't pretend it doesn't bother you. She was your mother.
She was. But she was not. I prefer to remember Benezia as she used to be, before she was corrupted by Sovereign's power.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to look at it, for sure. I mean, you could make the case that, you know, in that way, her memory still lives on.
The best of your mother lives on in you. Her determination, her intelligence, her strength.
That is kind of you to say. I appreciate your concern, but I am fine. Benezia chose her path, just as I have chosen mine. I am with you until the end, Shepard.
Okay. And so I think we're going to deliberately try to avoid just talking about you, again, to avoid the romance with her. And I don't remember if we did talk about Benezia and Asari culture with her previously, or if we also avoided these two options because we were concerned about potentially locking in a romance with Liara. Let's go for it, just in case. Because I think now we should be relatively safe.
Do you know why Benezia joined up with Saren?
Benezia was swept up in events beyond her control and lost herself. She fell under the spell of indoctrination and became part of the very thing she wanted to stop. But I will remember and honor how she lived, not how she died. My mother was strong, kind, and beautiful, and now she is gone.
Are you going to be okay?
You are kind to ask, Shepard. I do miss her, and I grieve for what happened to her. But I will not let my grief interfere with what we are trying to accomplish.
Okay, I mean, at the same time, like, it is your mother. Like, it's okay. If you need some time, you need time. That's totally understandable. On another note, let's talk about Asari culture.
I'd like to know more about the Asari.
We were the first species to discover the Citadel. We were instrumental in forming the Council, and we always strive to be the voice of peaceful cooperation in galactic disputes. My people believe we are all part of a single galactic community. Each species contributes something to the greater whole. Although we seek to understand other species, it seems few of them seek to understand us. The galaxy is filled with rumors and misinformation about my people.
Rumors?
Like what?
Most of the inaccuracies are centered around our mating rituals. My species is monogendered. Male and female have no real meaning for us. We still require a partner to reproduce. This second parent, however, may be of any species and any gender.
Yeah, that does seem pretty crazy. How is that possible?
I don't understand. Your species can mate with anyone?
Mating is not quite the proper term, not as you understand it. Physical contact may or may not be involved, but it is not an essential element of the union. The true connection is mental. Our physiology allows us to meld with other beings. We can touch the very depths of their minds.
That's
We
intense.
explore the genetic memory of their species. We share the most basic elements of their individual and racial identities. We then pass these traits on to our daughters. It is how we learn to grow as a species and how we develop a greater understanding of other races.
So yeah. That's... I mean, so... Your daughter, in that case, they're still an Asari, but I guess the details as to, like, how exactly, if at all, are the traits and, you know, the genetic material of the other parents actually passed on, if at all?
What happens to your partner after the union?
Every relationship is different. Some unions are a single encounter with both parents parting ways afterwards. Others can be more long-term. Sometimes an Asari and her partner will stay together for many decades.
Okay. Well, we do know that Asari have a very long lifetime, so that the potential age difference is potentially a factor. Do you know, obviously we know who your mother was, but what about your father? Maybe we can, you know, spin things a little bit.
Do you know who Matriarch Benezia chose as her partner?
She rarely spoke of her partner. Though I know my father, if you want to use that term, was another Asari.
Not entirely sure what Shepard is referring to here when he says you can do that. I mean, to Asari it makes sense, I would assume. You know, sure, she was just saying you can have an Asari plus a different species, but presumably Asari plus Asari also works as well.
I thought you always needed another species to serve as one of the parents.
Think about it, Shepard. If we were not able to mate with our own species, we would have died out long before we ever mastered spaceflight and left our homeworld.
Right.
Union
makes
with
sense.
our own kind is no longer common, not for the purposes of reproduction. Most Asari believe it weakens our species. Asari daughters inherit racial traits from the father species. If both parents are
Okay.
Asari, then
So
nothing has been gained.
there
Or
is
so
some
conventional
aspect
wisdom
of
would hold.
passing
Iron
on
is
traits
sometimes
from
called a
another species.
pureblood. Though no Asari would ever be cruel enough to say the word to my face, it is a great insult among my people. It is possible
Interesting.
Benezia's partner was embarrassed by their union. She may have been too ashamed to publicly acknowledge me as her offspring.
I mean, you don't know that.
Maybe she wanted to meet you but couldn't. Something could have happened to her. Maybe she passed away.
You might be right. I hope you are. But I have no way to know for sure. Benezia never spoke of her partner. Whatever happened, it caused her too much pain to dwell on it. She raised me by herself, though that is not uncommon. Many Asari raise their children alone, particularly if the father species is short-lived. Often the partner will pass on long before the child reaches maturity.
Okay. Unfortunately, yeah, we didn't get the chance to follow up with the question about the difference in age, but that might have been the answer right there is, you know, if the Asari who can live into the 1,000, or not sure, thousands plural is really the right way to phrase it, but at least around 1,000. Obviously humans don't live that long, and many other species do not as well, and so for that reason, the Asari parents, assuming there's one Asari parent and one parent from another species, would live a lot longer, whereas the other species, not so much. And therefore, the child raising may be primarily in the hands of the Asari. So, I think that means that's just about everything. Or we could say, how do they deal with that? I suppose, sure.
You Asari lived for 1,000 years. What happens when your partner dies?
Few sapient species live as long as my kind. We have learned to take a philosophical approach to our unions. We do not focus on the inevitable loss of our partners. Instead, we enjoy the time we spend with them. And even after they're gone, a part of them lives on in us. The union is a connection that transcends both time and space.
That's, yeah. That's pretty intense. But anyways, I think that is all that we have to talk with Liara about. And so, again, I was hesitant to go into this much detail talking with Liara, because part of me still feels like there's a non-zero chance that even after trying to delay this conversation as long as possible, she may still find a way to sort of take this as a hint of, oh, okay, well, now Shepard and I are a thing, and we're in a relationship. So, no, that's kind of not what we're trying to do here.
I should go.
We should go.
Bye, Commander.
Alright, and we did get some experience in Codex entries, and, we'll continue to sprinkle those in here and there. We've been doing a lot of talking as of late, so perhaps that'll be a later on type of thing. Okay, let's see. Is there anyone... I mean, we could try talking to Joker. Not necessarily sure he's going to have anything else new to say to us. Generally speaking, he's, despite being very talkative, not necessarily going to have new things to say quite as often as our other crewmates.
Boy, am I glad to be off of Novaria.
Although this time he
I
does.
don't know which was worse, the cold or the corporations. One will freeze your balls off, the other will sell them out from under you. With all due respect, Commander.
Of course, of course. Have we asked you about your nickname and how you... or more about your disease? I don't think we've asked you about the... Have we? Hold on. Have we? Let's check.
Why does everyone call you Joker?
It's a lot shorter than saying Alliance Flight Lieutenant Jeff Moreau. Plus, I love to make little children laugh.
Yeah, that's not the right answer.
You're dodging the question.
Look, I didn't pick the name. One of the instructors in flight school used to bug me about never smiling. She started calling me Joker, and it stuck.
And,
Why didn't you ever
weren't
smile?
terribly happy?
I worked my ass off in flight school, Commander. The world's not gonna hand you anything if you go around grinning like an idiot. By the end of the year, I was the best pilot in the academy. Even better than the instructors, and everybody
Yeah, I
knew
think
it.
we have heard this.
They all got their asses kicked by the sickly kid with the creaky little legs. One guess who was smiling at graduation?
Yeah. And so, I mean, that probably means that we've also asked you about your disease, but let's just double check.
I need to know
Sure.
more about this Vrolik syndrome if I'm putting my ship in your hands.
Yeah, of course you do. It's an extremely rare condition. Nobody knows exactly what causes it. Genetic, maybe. It's treatable, but there's no cure. They classify my case as moderate to severe. I was born with over a dozen fractures. Hip, thighs, ankles, my bones were already breaking in the womb. 100 years ago, I wouldn't have survived past my first year. Lucky for me, modern medical science has turned me into a productive member of society.
Okay. And, as for how you actually get the job done, hopefully, you don't need to be running around too much,
You're not gonna
otherwise
break a
that may
bone
not
trying to fly
work.
the ship, are you?
I don't fly with my feet, Commander, so I'm fine as long as I'm in this chair. I gotta be real careful when I get up to take a piss, though. I can do my job as well as anyone on the ship. Better, actually. So don't worry about it.
Alright.
I have to go.
We'll leave it at that then. Feel like we perhaps did have that conversation, but, sometimes it's been long enough in between. Doesn't hurt to make sure, at least. So, have we gone back in here at all? Because, at the very least, I'm pretty sure there is a codex entry you can get from examining some of this stuff, although we may have done that early on. So, no, I think we're good there in that case. So, what I'd like to do now is let's open up our galaxy map.
Good timing, Commander. We got a transmission coming in from the Citadel. Top priority clearance.
Move.
Is it the ambassador?
It's not his signature. I think it's from the Council. I'll patch it through to the comm room.
Well, into the comm room we go in that case.
Commander Shepard, we've received information that may be critical to your mission against Saren.
Oh, okay. Go on.
I'll take all the help I can get.
We've received an urgent message from one of our infiltration regiments in the Traverse.
Infiltration units? You mean other Spectres?
You mean spies?
Or spies.
Spectres tend to attract attention, Commander. But they are only one arm of the Council. Special task groups are often a better option for monitoring developing situations.
We currently have several infiltration units scattered throughout the border regions of Citadel space. This particular unit was gathering intel on Saren.
You know, sure, they're spies, so good to keep them secretive. But if they're gathering intel on Saren and our primary mission is to stop Saren and we're your lead person or team on that, you know, it'd probably be helpful if you made more a point of giving us the information those people are gathering. But anyways, it does sound like if you are making a point of reporting to us now that you may have got something big here. This could be serious.
What did they find?
Unfortunately, the message we received was little more than static. The infiltration team must be in a situation where they can't set up proper interstellar communications. But the message was sent on a channel reserved for mission-critical communications. Whatever they were trying to tell us, we know it was important. Considering your interest in Saren, we thought you might want to investigate this. Find out what happened to our team. The signal originated from the planet Vermeer.
Okay. Sure. Thanks for the info.
I'll look into it.
The Council prefers not to become involved in the specifics of Spectre activities. We only want you to be aware of all your options, including Vermeer. Good luck, Commander Shepard. We will keep you advised if we learn anything else.
Alright. So, what that does is that actually gives us a new journal entry. And we actually 2 journal entries at that. So, I was talking previously about how we had Theros, which was, at the time, our only main quest mission that we knew about. However, that is no longer the case. We now have Vermeer, which is the place where they were just saying that distress signal, or whatever signal that they couldn't quite understand, was sent from. So we received word that a Solarian reconnaissance team on Vermeer has information about Saren. The message was unclear, and the Citadel fears the team is in danger. So head to Vermeer and rendezvous with the Solarian team. That is the Vermeer mission. Then we also have Race Against Time, which is a more general, overarching one. Saren is searching for the Conduit, an ancient relic dating back to the Prothean extinction. Through the visions burned into your mind by the beacon on Eden Prime, you believe the Conduit is a weapon capable of wiping out all life in the galaxy. Saren must be stopped. We need to explore Theros, Novaria, the Artemis Tau Cluster, and Vermeer to find the clues that will lead you to the Conduit before Saren. So basically, like I said, this is sort of like the overarching go find Saren quest, which we basically knew this was a thing already. This is more so an official way to commemorate it, and now that we have completed Novaria and know of Vermeer, we now have many different, or at least several more options in terms of the direction we can take to try to hunt down Saren. That being said, Vermeer, we definitely are going to wait to do this. This is a mission that, for various reasons, we want to make sure we do lots of other things before we do this. So, we will definitely do Theros before we do Vermeer, and we will probably still do several side quests before we go to Vermeer and even Theros as well. But either way, let's head back to the galaxy map, and let's start doing some of said missions. So we are all set now on Novaria. And we have learned, actually, that in the, the Argus Row cluster, I believe that is where we were hearing that Rex's family armor was stolen, and presumably the person who stole said armor is somewhere in here. Let me just double check that real quick. I believe it was Argus Row. So I think, like I was saying, this may now be at the top of our list. Somewhere in the Argus Row cluster. Okay, yeah. So let's move in that case. And I do believe we have been here before. Let's see, we know of Hydra, and we know of Phoenix. I think we've definitely been to at least one, possibly even both of these. I want to say we've definitely been to Hydra. Phoenix I'm a little less certain about, so let's check this one. And of course, we'll head on out from Noveria.